Pitchers and catchers have reported to Mariners spring training camp, and it is time to speculate who may make an impact in the Mariners bullpen this year. However, this video is not covering any of those household names that you've already seen run out of that left center field wall in Seattle at any point so far. This video is covering 11 guys who could give the Mariners bullpen a boost throughout the season, but have not logged a single inning for the Mariners in the big leagues. I will talk plenty this year about Munoz, Brash, Santos, Spire, Troy Taylor, etc., but this video is about the dark horses in the bullpen. If this is your first time to the channel, then welcome. Make sure to like and subscribe to the Couch GM to stay up to date on all things Seattle Mariners throughout the season, and make sure to give this video a share with a fellow Mariners fan. And in case you didn't know, I am a mortgage broker. When I'm not making sports videos, I am licensed in Washington, Oregon, California, Idaho, and Arizona. Make sure to reach out if you're thinking of buying, selling, or refinancing at any point this next year. I'll have a link in the description of this video if you'd like to reach out and connect. And with that, let's get into it. So we're going to break this video up into two categories. The first four relievers I'll cover are guys that were in the organization prior to this offseason. And the second category are 7 guys that were brought in throughout the offseason. Some of them are youngsters with high ceilings, others are veterans trying to make a comeback. The first guy on this list is right-handed pitcher Jackson Kowar. Kowar was originally drafted by the Royals 33rd overall in the 2018 draft as a starting pitcher out of the University of Florida. He would struggle when he first made his debut as a starter with the Royals. He had an 11.27 ERA through 30 1/3 innings, and eventually would be transitioned to a reliever in 2022. Even during the 2023 season, he would bounce between AAA and the big leagues 4 times, and so far through 3 MLB seasons, 74 innings pitched, he has a 9.12 ERA, a 2.095 WHIP, a 9.1 strikeouts per 9, but a 6.2 walks per 9. Clearly, his lack of dominating the zone led to that inflated ERA. He has a 3-pitch mix and a 4-seam fastball, a changeup, and a slider. His 4-seam fastball averages 97 miles an hour, and yet in 2022, he gave up a 429 batting average against on this pitch, and objectively, his changeup is filthy, but he gave up a 356 batting average on this pitch in 2023. Until the offseason in 2023, the Royals traded Kowar to the Braves in exchange for right-handed pitcher Kyle Wright. 2 weeks later, the Mariners traded for Jackson Kowar as well as Cole Phillips in exchange for Jared Kelenic, Evan White, and Marco Gonzalez. Until unfortunately, before the 2024 season, both Jackson Kowar and Cole Phillips had to undergo Tommy John surgery, which put them out for the entire season. However, now heading into spring training, reports are that Jackson Kowar is now a married man, and he is now fully healthy. He has the pure stuff to be a great arm out of the bullpen. Add him into the Mariners pitching lab for a bit, and he could be a solid contributor. Next up is 25-year-old flame-throwing righty Carlos Vargas. Carlos was originally signed as an international free agent by the Cleveland Guardians back in 2016. He would be transitioned from a starter to a reliever, and in 2021 had to undergo Tommy John surgery. He would later be promoted to the big leagues in September of 2022, although he would become a phantom ball player, having not made an appearance. That offseason, he would be traded to the Diamondbacks, make the opening day roster, and log 5 major league appearances for Arizona before being optioned to AAA. His stuff is electric with a 4-seam fastball that averages 99.4 miles an hour. He also has a cutter slider at 92, a sinker at 99, as well as a changeup. But his biggest weakness, along with most of these guys, is finding the zone. Over his 5 appearances with the Diamondbacks, he had a 13.5 strikeouts per 9, but a 7.7 walks per 9. And then that year in AAA, over 42 1/3 innings, he had a 7.7 strikeouts per 9 and a 6.8 walks per 9. The following offseason, the Mariners would trade Eugenio Suarez to the Diamondbacks in exchange for Vargas as well as Sebi Zavala. Vargas would spend the entirety of the 2024 season with the AAA Tacoma Rainiers, and it seems that he has figured out his control issues. Over 53 1/3 innings pitched, he had a 6.8 strikeouts per 9 and reduced his walks per 9 to just 3, which is less than half of what it was with the Diamondbacks. His strikeouts were reduced, but so were his walks, likely because he was living more in the zone. And take these next numbers with a grain of salt, but Vargas pitched in the Dominican Winter League this past winter, and he had a 16.2 strikeouts per 9 and a 1.8 walks per 9. Granted, that was just 5 innings pitched. With Vargas, the upside is there with his pure stuff. It seems he's gotten his arsenal under control, and 2025 could be the year where there's an opportunity for him to step up. Next up is the third in-house name on this list, and lefty Brandyn Garcia. He was originally drafted as a reliever out of Texas A&M in the 11th round of the 2023 MLB draft. However, in his first full professional season, they moved him to the starting rotation and he had a breakout year. He would log 68 1/3 innings with high A Everett to the tune of a 1.84 ERA, a 1.2 WHIP, and 11.2 strikeouts per nine and a 3.4 walks per nine. After which he would be promoted to the AA Arkansas Travelers and would finish the year there logging 47 2/3 innings with a 2.83 ERA, a 1.238 WHIP, 9.3 strikeouts per nine, and 4 walks per nine. His arsenal consists of a mid to upper 90s two-seam, a wipeout slider, as well as a changeup. He would be named a Mariners co-minor league pitcher of the year along with Michael Morales, and now heading into spring training, word on the street is that he has been moved to a reliever, as that is where he can make the impact on the big league club the fastest. Currently, the Mariners bullpen depth chart is loaded with righties. However, at the moment there's only 2 lefties in Gabe Spire and Taylor Saucedo. So, the opportunity is certainly there for Garcia, and he could bring some much needed relief to the bullpen, pun intended. The final guy on this list who is already in the organization is an electric factory. This is right-handed pitcher Hunter Cranton. He was the closing pitcher for Kansas during the 2024 season, after which he would be drafted in the 3rd round, 91st overall pick by the Mariners. Cranton has a lethal 2-pitch mix. He has a 4-seam fastball that's 95 to 100. It has 18 inches of induced vertical break, and in his senior year this induced a 36% whiff rate and a 38% chase rate. For reference, the highest whiff rate in MLB last year on a 4-seam fastball was Mason Miller, who had a 37.1% whiff rate. If Cranton can duplicate these results in the big leagues, he would be second on this list. And as this tweet describes, among 4-seam fastballs with a vertical approach angle above -4 degrees, his vertical release angle is the lowest, which gives his 98-mile-an-hour fastball a lot of unexpected ride, meaning that it's dropping less than the batter anticipates. Pair that with a mid to upper 80s slider and that is a lethal combo. His senior year at Kansas, he logged 25 innings with a 2.16 ERA, a 1.2 WHIP, a 13.7 strikeouts per nine, and a 3.2 walks per nine. He had 7 saves for the Jayhawks. After being drafted, he started his professional career with the Modesto Nuts, logging 8.1 innings as their closer with a 3.24 ERA, a 1.32 WHIP, a 15.1 strikeouts per nine, and a 4.3 walks per nine. Spring training has just begun, but he's already turning heads. He has an outside shot at making the bullpen out of spring, but if not, he'll rise quickly through the system, and I anticipate seeing him in Seattle this year. Credit to Ryan Divish for this footage out of Peoria. Now getting into 7 of the guys that the Mariners brought in throughout the offseason to help impact the bullpen. First off is right-handed flamethrower Dauris Valdez. He's listed at 6'8", 255, but reports out of camp say that he looks even bigger. He's a 29-year-old that was signed initially out of the Dominican Republic back in 2016 by the Padres. Turns out that he was actually roommates with the young Andres Munoz when he was back in the Padres system, and while Munoz has since been able to rein in his power and command with the Mariners, Dauris is still looking to do so, and realistically, he's a long shot at making this bullpen. However, the upside is clearly there. The guy is 6'8", he's been up to 103 in the past, he's currently in the high 90s, maybe touching 100, and per Ryan Divish, someone in the Mariners camp stated, "I'm not sure we'd have any of our main players face him in live batting practice sessions." He has not yet debuted in the major leagues, and throughout 6 minor league seasons, again between the Padres and the Cubs, he has 211 2/3 innings logged, a 4.34 ERA, a 1.346 WHIP, a solid 11.1 strikeouts per nine, but 4.1 walks per nine. He also most recently pitched in professional baseball back in 2022. He had just 2.2 innings pitched in AA for the Cubs, after which he was out of the game for a couple years but made a resurgence in the Mexican Pacific Winter League this past winter. He logged 8.1 innings down there. Perhaps Munoz saw him in the offseason, I can't confirm that, but we'll see if Valdez sticks in the Mariners system. Next up is the 27-year-old righty Casey Legumina. Within the first 5 seconds of spring training, he's been getting comped to Paul Sewald for obvious reasons. His arm slot in 2024 was just 1 degree higher than Paul Sewald's. Legumina is at 17 degrees, and Paul Sewald is at a 16-degree arm slot. He brings in a 3-pitch mix at a 4-seam fastball averaging 93.4, a changeup is his secondary at 87.7, and he also has a slider at around 85 miles an hour. Casey went to high school in Chandler, Arizona, but is a product of Gonzaga University over in Spokane, and he was drafted 3 separate times in 2016, 2018, and finally in 2019, he was taken in the 8th round by the Twins. Casey made it up to AA for the Twins before being traded to Cincinnati in exchange for infielder Kyle Farmer. Since then, Casey has been trying to find a way to stick on the big league roster. In 2024 with AAA Louisville, he logged 58 1/3 innings with a 3.24 ERA, a 1.097 WHIP, an 8.8 strikeouts per 9, and 2.8 walks per 9. However, he's still trying to dial in how to get out big league hitters. Through 22 innings in the bigs, he has a 6.95 ERA, a 1.909 WHIP, 7.4 strikeouts per 9, and 4.5 walks per 9. His arsenal looks solid, and he has that unique arm slot which should help with deception, but he gave up a 375 batting average against his four-seam fastball, a 563 slug, and on the changeup he gave up a 417 batting average with a 583 slug. The Mariners clearly saw something they can work with, as this offseason they traded for Legumina, sending back only cash considerations. We'll see how he looks this spring in games and live ABs, and if he'll be able to contribute with the big league club this year. He is under contract through the 2030 season, so there is a bit of runway. Next up is a very intriguing arm in Shintaro Fujinami. Shintaro spent 10 seasons in the NPB League in Japan. He was a starting pitcher over there for his first 3.5 seasons, after which he started to develop a case of the yips. With an elevated walk rate, the Tigers moved him to a relief role in 2016 at the age of 22. Eventually, he would have a bounce back season in 2022, over 107 1/3 innings pitched total that year. He logged a 2.77 ERA out of the bullpen, with a 1.118 WHIP, a 9.6 strikeouts per 9, and 3 walks per 9. The Tigers would decide to cash in, and they would post him, allowing MLB teams to negotiate. He was posted by the Hanshin Tigers in December 2022, after which he agreed to a 1-year, $3.25 million contract with the Oakland Athletics. The A's tried him out as a starter to begin, but after just 4 starts, he had an 0-4 record with a 14.4 ERA, 12 strikeouts in 15 innings, and they moved him to the bullpen. His time in Oakland would come to an end at the deadline, as he would be sent to the Baltimore Orioles. His ERA and WHIP were a bit better in Baltimore, but a subpar year overall. His inflated stats were largely due to his walk rate. After all, he didn't allow higher than a 243 batting average against any of his main 4 pitches. His pure stuff is electric. He averaged 98.4 with his four-seam fastball in 2023. He got up to 103. He's got a great splitter at 93. He has a cutter at 88, a sweeper at 84, a slider at 85, and he threw a curveball a couple times. Shintaro then signed a 1-year deal with the Mets for 2024. He would be optioned to AAA Syracuse, after which he would suffer a right shoulder strain. He would head to the 60-day injury list, and for the entirety of the 2024 season, he logged 36 1/3 innings pitched, a 5.94 ERA, a 1.349 WHIP, a 10.9 strikeouts per 9, but a 8.2 walks per 9. If Fuji can learn to dominate the zone this spring, he could become a lethal bullpen option for the Mariners. Now we move to a guy that actually has already pitched in Seattle. This is Will Klein. He was a representative for the Royals in the All-Star Futures game back in 2023 in Seattle. He was drafted by the Royals in the 5th round of the 2023 MLB draft out of Eastern Illinois. He came up through the Royals farm system over the past 4 years and had his first cup of coffee this last season. He totaled 8 games in the MLB in 2024, 5 of those with the Royals and then 3 of them with the Oakland A's after he was traded at the deadline. He has a high strikeout upside arsenal, but is going to be another DTZ project. Through his 4 seasons in the minor leagues, he has 221 1/3 innings logged, with a 5.16 ERA, a 1.64 WHIP, which includes a 12.7 strikeouts per 9, and 6.8 walks per 9. In his brief stint in the major leagues this past season, again just 8 games, 7 1/3 innings pitched, he had an 11.05 ERA, a 2.455 WHIP, an 8.6 strikeouts per 9, and a 7.4 walks per 9. And he's the first to say that he has work to do. After being traded to the Athletics, he was quoted saying, "Sometimes I haven't thrown a lot of strikes in the past. It's a new day and a new step in my career, so I'm going to go out there just attacking." It's pretty much all your mentality. If you're afraid, you get tentative with your pitch, you miss bigger, and you're not as confident in the zone. Here, it's just go get them. Throw it right through their bats and get ahead. And that'll be the same message in Seattle. This offseason, the Mariners acquired him from the A's in exchange for international slot money. Jerry and Justin might have been locked in on Driveline Baseball's Instagram account, as Klein had some nasty bullpens throughout the offseason. He operates with a 3-pitch mix, including a 4-seam fastball sitting in the upper 90s and touching 100, a curveball around 87, and a slider around 88. And replaying this last pitch, that's essentially a 12-6 curveball dropping straight off the table at 88 miles an hour. Since his arm slot is at 50 degrees more over the top, he's able to get more of that vertical drop on his curveball compared to horizontal. For sure, be on the lookout for Will Klein this spring training coming out of the pen.
2-2, punch out, first strikeout in the majors for Klein.
Next up is 26-year-old righty Hagen Danner. From my understanding, he has no official relationship with the ice cream brand, although his nickname literally is the Ice Cream Man. I'll keep you posted if there's a business deal that goes down throughout the season. Hagen has a unique story. Back in high school, he was named the California High School Player of the Year by the Los Angeles Times, and he was actually a pitcher and catcher who committed to play baseball at UCLA. He was considered a top prospect both as a pitcher and catcher prior to the 2017 MLB draft. He was drafted in the 2nd round by the Blue Jays as a catcher, and after 3 years of trying it out behind the plate, they moved him to the mound. Through 4 years pitching in the minor leagues, he's logged 114 innings with a 3 ERA, a 1.114 whip, a 10.7 strikeouts per 9, and 3.1 walks per 9. He was called up for a cup of coffee in 2023, but only made it 1.5 batters. Seiya Suzuki was the first batter he faced, which he got to line out, after which he got to a full count on Yan Gomes before departing with an injury. He was diagnosed with a left oblique strain, placed on the 60-day injured list, which would end his season. This past season, he didn't make it back to Toronto. He had missed another 2 months with an undisclosed injury, but made a rehab appearance in August. The Blue Jays would DFA him in December, and the Mariners would swoop in. Here's really the only scouting report we currently have on Hagen. This is via Fangraphs back in 2023. He had a UCL injury that cost him basically all of 2022. His 2023 ended with an oblique strain, but when Danner is healthy, his stuff is nasty. His fastball routinely sits 95 to 98, and his upper 80 slider, which has almost perfectly downward vertical shape, is easily a plus pitch. If he can remain healthy, he should be a solid option in the middle innings for the Mariners. The final 2 guys on this list are tenured veterans looking to make a comeback. Starting off with left-handed pitcher Drew Pomeranz. Pomeranz has logged 11 years in the big leagues, with the past 3 coming out of the bullpen. As a reliever, he's been lights out. Logging 160 innings, he has a 2.42 ERA, a 1.088 whip, an 11.2 strikeouts per 9, and a 3.26 strikeout to walk ratio. Pomeranz last pitched in the big leagues in 2021. Late in that season, it was announced he would have to undergo Tommy John surgery. He missed all of the 2022 season for the Padres, had to undergo an additional cleanup procedure in 2023. This past season, he would log 9 innings for the Dodgers AAA affiliate before being released. He was signed by the Giants but did not pitch an inning for them. Pomeranz, being an established veteran, a World Series champion in 2018 with the Red Sox, and All-Star back in 2016, when he approaches you, you give him an opportunity. We'll see if he can make a comeback with the Mariners and give them another option from the left side out of the bullpen. The Mariners also brought in 10-year big league vet Neftalí Feliz. He was a dominant closer for the Rangers in his first 7 seasons in the big leagues, logging 261 1/3 innings, a 2.69 ERA, 1.056 whip, and 93 saves. Ever since then, he's been trying to find consistency. He went from the Rangers to the Tigers to the Pirates to the Brewers, the Royals, and in his last year in the big leagues, he pitched for the Phillies and the Dodgers back in 2021. Feliz is certainly a long shot to make the roster, but similar to Pomeranz, when a veteran comes in, you give him a chance. Let me know in the comments below which of these guys you think will provide the most value for the Mariners in 2024. Thank you for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe for more content like this, and we'll see you in the next one.